How Norman built his trap cabin. Part 1. Getting materials in and choosing the site. We didn't just drive up and start building. Everything had to be flown in or packed by hand. First, I cut plywood sheets in half lengthwise so they could be loaded into a small plane. Every pound mattered. We made multiple flights and staged the loads at Whole Lake. From there, it was all muscle. I packed load after load up a steep grade, over 100 feet of elevation, then across tundra and brush for over a quarter-mile. The stove alone nearly finished me. Heavy, awkward, but essential. Before any building started, we picked 2 locations. One for the cabin, one for a raised cache to keep food safe from animals. We built the cache first, 12 feet up off the tundra, and stored supplies there. Then I threw together a tarp lean-to and set up the stove so we had a place to cook and work. Only after that, we were ready to build. Part 2. Foundation and floor. The first real step was the foundation. I cut and dragged in base logs and set them directly on the ground, choosing the flattest spot I could find. These logs formed the perimeter of the cabin. Next came the floor joists. I mortised 7 joists directly into the foundation logs. No shortcuts, everything fit tight. Once the joists were in place, we packed in the plywood sheets and nailed down the floor. That floor changed everything. Up until then, we were working out of the mud and snow. Now we had a solid surface to stand on and a clear outline of the cabin. Part 3. Walls and structure. With the floor in place, I started on the walls. Each log was cut to about 6 feet, 2-sided for a flat fit, peeled where needed. We hauled them in 2 at a time using a small puka sled. Sylvia pulled them with a chest rope while I cut and shaped more. To stack the walls, logs were laid 1 at a time, spiked together using long log spikes, driven in by hand with a 3-pound hammer. No drill, no power tools for assembly, just muscle and steel. We worked our way up, wall by wall. First one wall, then another, then cut openings for windows as we went. By the end, all walls were up, and I added top plates to tie everything together. Part 4. Roof, door, and finishing work. Once the walls were finished, I set the ridgepole and began installing rafters. As each rafter went up, I immediately laid plywood sheeting over it. That way, the structure stayed rigid and we weren't exposed to the weather longer than necessary. After both sides of the roof were sheeted, I sealed it using aluminum press plates, salvage printing plates, and tar between each layer to keep out water. Then came the finishing work. Built and hung the door. Installed windows. Moved the stove inside. Built bunks, a table, and a small kitchen. Finally, we chinked the walls from the inside, sealing every gap against the cold. We worked late into the nights by lantern light until it was tight. And when it was done, we moved in. A solid cabin, built by hand, in the middle of nowhere. Special note. This is a clean, organized narrative pulled strictly from Norman's notes and what can be inferred from a few photographs of his trap cabin, then using AI to deconstruct it from those images. We've shaped it so it flows naturally as a step-by-step story while still being practical enough for a basic tutorial. However, 100% accuracy cannot be guaranteed.